discussion about what we just read, y'all, because that was a lot. Anything coming up for you that you want to share in the chat? And I'm going to share what came up for me when I read this chapter as well. Shay Tay said her day is good. She's relaxing before finals. I know that's right. I know that's right. Sending you love and strength and peace for a beautiful finals week. It's going to be great. So again, our discussion questions, what's coming up for you? Because remember, you are the expert here, you in the driver's seat. So whatever you have coming up for you is what we are using to drive our discussion. The other question is, have you noticed this voice? And when that came up during the live reading, many people put ones in the chat because they said, yeah, I noticed, I've heard it before. I hear it now. What experiences have you had with the voice inside is a question you can also get into. And how can you start to become more observant of the voice inside if you already are not at a place where you have that complete objective awareness. So these questions are in our Padlet, and if you want to jot them down, if you want to take a screenshot, go ahead, feel free. You can just journal about them on your own if you like. And I'll show this again before we get out of here if anyone wants to take a screenshot. So let's talk about quick summary of chapter, what was it, the introduction and chapter 1. Chapter 1, what is chapter 1 called? The voice inside your head. So completely in full complete transparency, y'all, I told you I read this book. I'm with a book club that I'm in. So it wasn't even a book that I chose, like personally, like I said, ooh, you need to read this. So I read it with the book club, and I got to tell you the truth. Chapter 1, I was like, nope, not for me. No. And here is why, though. Because I know what voice he's talking about, and I don't have that experience with it anymore. So I kind of was just like, there are things you're saying in this chapter that I don't agree with. But then I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue reading the book. I'm going to see it through, right? And as I continue to read, I realized that, okay, it is not that I don't agree with those parts. It's just that I'm no longer at that stage. There was a time when, had I read that, this would have made all the sense in the world to me and would have been exactly what I needed. So I'll say that. I'll also say there was a part for me that I didn't exactly 100% agree with, where the author said that your thoughts have nothing to do with like life and overall and like the trajectory of things. And I don't 100% agree with that. I do think that there are many thoughts that we attach ourselves to and give a lot of energy to that maybe we didn't need to, and those thoughts probably did come from the voice and everything like that. But I do also believe that on a level that the thoughts that we think create our reality as well. So how could that have no bearing on reality if it's actually creating my reality? Like, I thought about doing this and now I'm doing it. So I do think that our thoughts do have some type of bearing on how our external reality is experienced. I just think that maybe he chose to say it in this way to get us to maybe not be so attached to our day-to-day thoughts. So let's jump in the chat real quick. Thank you, Juice. He says, before, when I used to be heavy with fast foods, I hear that voice, just one more meal. And when I order, why are you eating this? Yeah. So you're lifting up that part of the text where the author says, like, how you the person asking a question and also responding, if you already know what's going to be with the response, why are you even doing this, right? Absolutely. Before, when I used to, let me get this. Well, Juice, if you see it before I do, once the Padlet, it doesn't even matter because it's not even a whole bunch of activity in here. So I'm gonna pin it down. That's a good point. I used to hear that voice a lot. Speaking of eating fast food a lot, I used to eat like Flamin' Hot Cheetos for dinner. Like, That's not an exaggeration. I'm not joking about that. And I would hear the voice say things like, "You can't eat like this for the rest of your life." I would hear that all the time, right? And then I would answer it and say, "But for now, I'm going to put these hot Cheetos up." So, um, thank you for lifting that up, Juice. I appreciate you. I'm gonna show the Padlet in a little while. So don't feel if you don't feel pressure to have to retype things that you put in the Padlet. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna show that entire thing. I'm gonna show that entire thing in a moment. What did you say? They called you City Hot Cheetos John. They did. They called me exactly that. They called me City Hot Cheetos John. Okay. Like it got to a point. I don't want to say it was so bad, but it got so extreme that my coworkers that I work with at school, you would say like, I only eat like this when I'm with you. So, okay. Um, I didn't mean to do that. This is the last slide I meant to show y'all. I didn't mean to go that far because we're not going past this today. So, yeah. So those two things I wanted to get out the way real quick, just to say like when we read a book, y'all. I know that in school they have taught us, and I'm talking about like elementary school age. Like they teach us from a young developmental stage that we are to take a text and read the text and take what was given to us as fact and truth, and like that's the knowledge. But I don't really resonate with that. I think that it is up to us to read the text and take what resonates with us and leave what doesn't, because we're all a different piece of this puzzle. So I wanted to get out the way those parts that I did not quite agree with, and make sure y'all know, like, just because I'm reading this on a stream doesn't mean that I'm like poster child advocating for it, saying like, "Woohoo, this is word. Everything this man says goes." No, he just a man, just like I'm just a woman. So we all have to do our due diligence and do our own research because we're all on our own journey. Um, but the some big takeaways for this from me was just that remembering that internal world versus the external world, and also remembering that, excuse me, there are many different parts of us, and that like when I am experiencing some type of an intense emotion, for an example, that it doesn't mean that I am that emotion or that all of me is experiencing it, but there may be a part of me that's experiencing that. So that was a big takeaway I got from chapter 1. Um, just remembering, this is when I started to think about it like, oh snap, this must mean that I am pure consciousness. Um, you know, I'm pure consciousness. I'm not uh I'm not all these labels and all of these things that they can put you in a box and they can tell you, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? That's who you are. Are you employed or unemployed? That's who you are, right? So um the beginning chapter with the voice inside your head helped me to remember that I am the observer of all of this experience. I am the observer of the experience. And it's like, well, who is she talking about when she says I? I'm talking about me. Well, who is me? Me. That's it. I don't have nothing else for you. Me. I'm talking about me. And when you answer those questions for yourself, you talking about you without the labels. Okay?